Yeah, it's about
Strolling in the park,
sipping on some cannabis, sativa, some cannabis dick,
walking on in the dark,
and some sativa. You know, sipping on a little
strolling in the
something.
park,
You know,
oh,
yeah,
oh, walking on in the dark.
yeah.
Sparkly stuff. Everybody wants some of that sparkly stuff. One of the things that people have most been enamored by since as long as almost anyone can remember are precious materials. Diamonds, rubies, emerald, sapphire, gold, silver, copper. Just all of these substances have been highly desired by people of all cultures since the most ancient times. And one thing that's in common, even though all of these precious materials, they're used for bartering and trade, or that's what we're taught. That's where they came into play. That all of these precious resources were initially just used for barter and trade, and that was really their only purpose. Well, it makes people think what originally gave these precious substances their value, because there are so many things that are beautiful in nature. A tree is beautiful, the sky is beautiful, the sun, the moon, they're beautiful. So a flower, that's beautiful. So why are things like rubies and emeralds considered of such high value because of their beauty? But things like the sun and stars, they're considered beautiful but don't have a high value attached to them. Or let's say even a flower. A flower doesn't have a high value attached to it, even though it's considered one of the most beautiful displays in nature. So what's the difference between gold and silver, which really gives them their value, other than the aesthetic, what we see that's aesthetic with them? Where it really comes down to, when you go back into ancient times, is technology. Technology, technology, technology. That's like one of the main factors of our world today. The internet, electricity, vehicles, airplanes, cell phones and tablets. Technology is what fuels our world today, and what most people in the modern world are concerned with, whether personal or business. It's through technology that a lot of people just express themselves. So knowing that technology is something that's considered very important to a lot of people, as we say in the modern world. And we also know that for a very good example, that things like what gives way to our modern IT consciousness is computers, networks, tablets, smartphones. All of these devices which have given rise within the past few years, which give definition to our current world. One thing that's interesting is that all of these devices actually rely on precious materials in order to run and operate. For example, CPU chips in general use quartz crystals in order to work. Basically, a charge, and also a timing mechanism is needed for microchips in order to function. Quartz crystals, well-known property that they have is piezoelectric effect, which basically means that if you apply pressure, energetic or physical pressure, to a quartz crystal, in return, once that energy is put into the crystal, it'll actually express more energy than what was put into it in a very rhythmic expression. It releases energy at an expected rate. So, and the energy releases is more than the energy that was put in it to activate it. And that's the core of our technology today. Like our phones, liquid crystal displays. Everybody is walking around with a liquid crystal. Everybody is walking around with a liquid crystal in their pocket. So, what does that say about us? It is known that people tend to go on the path or tend to walk the same path those that came before them. Maybe in a different way, but most of the time in the same direction. Sometimes the same style, the same area. So what we know now is that we use crystals to maintain our current level of technology, the IT consciousness that we have, the CPUs, the bus lines, the precious metals, copper, gold. They're in our common everyday appliances, even in TVs. We all look at home at a large plasma screen, which is which is on a background, just a connection of bus lines made out of precious metals. And then you have your displays, which are different types of glass and crystals. So we're still doing the same things that we did a long time ago, or we have been doing for a long time when it was a long time ago. But we're just doing it in a different way now. So we know how crystals and precious metals play a part in our current day technology or our current day world. How did they play a part in the past, in our ancient past? We've all heard stories of the witches and wizards and mages and magi and the elves. And how they used to use things like crystal balls to see into the future or to talk to spirits, or wizards and witches used to use crystal balls to see what someone is actually doing in the real world. But first, before they can use such assets, such jewels in a sense, they had to enter into a ritual or better yet, a trance. They had to circulate or put up a certain energy within themselves first, and then transfer that into the crystal ball that's outside of them in order to activate it to see the visions or to engage their mind in a certain aspect. So those are the ancient stories, and there are a lot of them in different forms from different cultures. But the ancient overview of the ancient stories are how these same type of crystals and also the metals. Gold was a magical metal that you can make anything from. You can make anything from gold. In our current day technology, any type of energy can be conducted with gold. Any type of energy, whether it be electric, magnetic, or some other energy that we may not currently know about. So we've always been using these materials to do really the same thing, just in various ways. So maybe that helps us get an understanding of why something like sapphires and silver, why we value them so much now, even if it's just something that's an aesthetic value, but we put so much emphasis on it just to be something that looks pretty. Why? Hopefully this helps answer some questions for you, and it helps all of us learn. Let's see.